Happy Monday, guys. You got it. It's not Friday. It's a Monday night show. And we're here to kick things off with the Final Four. And so much has happened. And I know Wade and I were talking just before the show, and we're still in mourning. Wade, how you feeling, buddy?
It took a lot of courage for me to throw the Leaf hat on. I haven't actually worn it since, about 5 minutes left in the period of when we lost to the Habs. But it is what it is. You still got to bleed blue. You got to represent your team through the hard times and the good times. You can't celebrate the good times unless you've been with them through the hard times. And that's why hopefully the good times are in the future, and they'll mean a lot more because we have been through some fucking heartbreak. So especially this season. Yeah, man. Archie, hockey down to the Final Four. The Leafs are out. Connor McDavid's out. And I can't believe it, but Boston is out and Colorado is out. Two teams that I thought were maybe going to be in the Final Four. Islanders just playing kick-ass hockey right now, rolling four lines, playing that kind of shutdown style of hockey, the same that Montreal did to Winnipeg and the Leafs. But hey, man, it's exciting. It's playoff hockey, and you know what? Any team can win the cup. Whoever is in the playoffs, right? We've seen the LA Kings finish 8th a couple times and shoot their way right to a championship. So anything's possible, and there's good hockey. Started last night, and tonight we got the Habs and Vegas. So it'll be the first time that a Canadian team has faced an American team all bloody year. So that's kind of exciting. I haven't been watching too much of the Montreal series just because it does burn my soul and it burns me down like pretty bad. And there's not much left here, but it is intriguing and appealing to kind of see the first game of an American and Canadian team go at it. So I will definitely at least watch the first period tonight before I got to go to bed. Anyways, outside of me, Archie, how are you? How are things shaping up for you? And what do you think about what's going on in our Final Four?
I mean, definitely not what I was expecting as the Final Four this year. We've got the Islanders, Tampa Bay, Vegas, and Montreal. I mean, maybe not entirely surprised, but quite surprised for the most part, considering I had outside of the Leafs, I had Colorado going far, and I'm still stunned at what happened there with the Avalanche and Vegas in that series. So I'm at a loss for words as to who I stopped watching. I mean, I'll watch the highlights. I was stunned that the Islanders beat Tampa. I mean, we might as well get into that. Islanders, Tampa, Isles up 1-0 in the series. Caught the highlights and honestly couldn't believe the Islanders. I mean, Barzal is now suddenly he's had a bit of a late bloom in these playoffs. He's not at the same level as some of the guys who have actually even been eliminated when it comes to goals scored in the playoffs. But he's scoring clutch goals right now, and he had, I believe, the game winner against Tampa. So they're up 1-0, and I don't think anybody should be panicking in Tampa Bay. You've got an absolutely healthy Tampa Bay Lightning team with Steven Stamkos in it for the long ride here. And I still think Tampa Bay takes this series. What do you think here?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of weird with the New York Islanders the last few years, just because of John Tavares coming over and John Tavares playing a couple games there at his old home, and the fans kind of just giving it to him and basically saying a big screw you to John Tavares and the Toronto Maple Leafs organization and letting them hear it every time. And you know what? I got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, New York Islander fans are fucking awesome. It's fun hearing their building, man. Like it makes hockey more enjoyable, and it kind of like gets you in it as well. Their crowd noise it's next to none in the NHL, seriously. But kudos to those guys and cheers to those guys, because those fans are. I mean, this is the island. It's not the New York Rangers. It's the Islander fans, man, and they're having a ball, and they're behind their team 100%. When this series kicked off, I do have Tampa winning this series just because it's Tampa Bay. We've talked about Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay are the reigning Stanley Cup champions. With the likes of Steven Stamkos, Kucherov, Hedman, and Braden Point. I mean, they're healthy. So your superstars are healthy. They know what it takes to win. they are still bona fide superstars. It's not like they're too old or washed up or anything. These guys are all like 27 to 31 years old or whatever it is. So they're ready to go. And I didn't even mention Vasilevsky in that. So Vasilevsky he's an unreal goalie, had a great year. He's been one of the top goalies in the league for the last 3-4 years. He could easily steal some games for you. And then when you have that arsenal in front, just, taking over and dominating, it's hard to stop that. And I guess all I could say is New York Islanders, man, they roll 4 lines and they might have a chance. I think that they're up 1-0 in the series. That I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised because the series is going to go to, I think, about six games, maybe even 7, because it's just 2 different styles of hockey, 2 different hockey coaches, and Cooper and Barry Trotz, right? Just Barry Trotz. Everyone wants to play for Barry Trotz, and he plays a really good shutdown defensive game, but he off the rush, I mean, like you said, Archie, Barzell and Eberle and Brock Nelson, these guys are out to play right now, and they're all looking really, really good. So yeah, man, you're rolling 4 lines against a team that can roll 3 lines heavy, and we'll see who wins. But the talent and the speed of Tampa Bay, and just having championship blood inside of them, and it just kind of makes me it kind of makes me feel like they are going to take out the Islanders. I don't know, man. It's weird though, man. Islanders are such a weird team. They always kind of prove me wrong. So the last few years, I've always counted them out, and they kind of they keep on inching towards something better and something greater every year. So is this the year that they go to the finals? I don't know, but they've looked really good this playoffs, and they are healthy too, with the exception of Anders Lee, who is their captain, who, if he was playing, would be an even bigger impact because he's their leading point getter before Matt Barzell. So, but like you said, Barzell's kind of heated up. I think he's scored 4 straight goals in the last 4 games or something. So he's fired up. Lightning fans are fired up. Anything can happen. And yeah, I still think Tampa Bay is going to win the series, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Islanders somehow come back and maybe steal one from these guys. Yeah, that's my take on that one. Those 2 games for sure.
All right, and yeah, I mean, it's I'm going for Tampa Bay. I've always liked Tampa Bay. I like the way they play. They've been probably one of the most consistent teams over the last few years. Snake bitten for Stamkos when it comes to being there for the full playoffs. So good to see a healthy Stammer in the lineup. And yeah, they're just, it'll be a good series. It'll be fun to watch, but I think the Islanders stole that one. But hey, it may very well go 7 games just based on how the Islanders just keep getting better somehow. And yeah, right now as a Leaf fan, it kind of sucks. I've been hearing it all since the Leafs got eliminated. Look at where Lou is. Look at how many series John Tavares has won with Toronto, 0, and how many series the Islanders have won since Tavares has been gone. So it sucks. I'm not sure how he's feeling about it. Right now, it does suck. It does look like the Leafs did not win, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you want to call it the part of the deal or getting rid of Lou. But right now, the Islanders definitely have the last laugh at this point. And the Leafs are still trying to figure out how to get past the first round. So a lot can happen during the offseason, and I'm expecting a lot. We'll touch a little more on the Leafs in a bit, but we will move on to the next series, which is set to start tonight. You got the Golden Knights and the Montreal Canadiens, 2 teams that I did not think would meet in the playoffs and this far into the playoffs. I mean, man, it sucked as a Leafs fan to get eliminated by Montreal in 7 games, but I feel like it's worse to be a Jets fan. You were well rested. You got to watch Montreal's game. You got to see how they play. You got to see the Leafs take them to 7 games, and then they just come in there and sweep in 4. I was not expecting that at all. I'm still stunned at the fact that they swept. They've solidified themselves as a contender, and fair enough. I mean, you got to give them credit and credit where it's due. Carey Price is playing like that $10 million goalie that he is. I still don't agree with that kind of money, but he's earning it right now, and the rest of the team is playing great. And Vegas, you like Vegas. I know you enjoy watching them. And last year, I said it, and I'll say it again this year. They're like a team of misfits that every single player has something to prove, and boy, are they proving it again and again since their entry into the league. I was really rooting for Colorado. You got to wonder if Kadri's suspension was a distraction, his appeal that got denied by Gary Bettman, his appeal that was denied by the arbitrator. He would have been eligible had they gone to 7 games, and it didn't happen. So once again, Nazem Kadri misses an important playoff series for his team, and Colorado is the team that was out. So now you got the Vegas Golden Knights. As I'm watching them play, they're one of those teams that just seems to be getting better and better and better with each period. And you get all these guys like, I swear, until Vegas's first year, I had no idea who Marcia So was. No clue. And man, this guy's name is just constant. That's all you hear coming out of the commentators. He's involved in every aspect, scoring goals when you need him to. He's just unbelievable. And Mark Stone, what a turnaround for that guy since he's gone to Vegas. Pacioretty playing against his former team now. Marc-Andre Fleury playing like the Stanley Cup winning goalie that he was in Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts? I mean, I'm completely speechless when it comes to both these teams and how well they've played in these playoffs.
Well, you've touched on so many key points. I'm just going to go back before I touch on this series. But in regards to the Kadri thing, it does look like the Leafs still won this trade. That's 3 playoffs now that Kadri has been suspended from. That's like just ridiculous, man. This guy's got to learn to follow the rules, man. And player safety comes first, and he should know that it is playoff hockey. But man, this guy can't stay in a playoff series. And Colorado had a full head of steam. Like, they had momentum. They won the first 2 games against Vegas, right? So all of a sudden they kind of had a Toronto Maple Leaf collapse, and the star players were having trouble. And boom, a team that's running 3-4 lines hard at you every shift ends up winning it, man. They played defense. They shut down their top guys, and that's how you win hockey games. And on top of that, you have Marc-Andre Fleury, like you just said, playing like the Stanley Cup winning Marc-Andre Fleury we've seen in the past. I just want to touch on what you said about the North Division, about it's kind of crazy how Montreal swept the Jets, and the Scheifele thing definitely, I think, rocked Winnipeg's boat a little bit. And I mean, you just lost your best player to a hit that was kind of controversial, and there's a lot of opinions about it. I think we've already talked about that hit on our previous show. So if you wanted to hear our thoughts on that, I think it's on the previous show. But anyways, I can't believe that Winnipeg got swept. And then the thing that just blows my mind is, out of this North Division, you got to think of it. The Leafs were up 3-1 with 1 goal away in an overtime to ice out Montreal. Who knows what would have happened to Montreal's management, their head coach, or their roster if they got ousted in the first round this year by the Leafs in 5 games. I think that it would be totally opposite of what you see now. They are getting praised right now. If they were out, I think Bergevin might have been on the hot. He might have been gone. Ducharme maybe gone. A couple players would be golfing already and probably not trying to sign back on those 1-year contracts or whatever. But then for Edmonton to go out and get swept by the Winnipeg Jets. You're talking about Draisaitl and McDavid getting swept by the Jets, who then got swept by Montreal. It's just, I don't know. This North Division is just so up and down with how everything kind of played out in the playoffs this year. It's like I can't wait for an American team now. That's why I'm kind of intrigued about this game tonight. I want to see what the Vegas Golden Knights look like against a team that kind of just rolled past a team that's already swept someone. And then Montreal swept them. Montreal beat Toronto, the best team, I guess you could say, or the best team that was considered the best team in the North Division. And Montreal is now facing the Vegas Golden Knights in the semifinals, man. This series to me I think it's pretty intriguing, man. Like, I like it. I think that it's going to be a hard hitting kind of hockey. They're both defensive teams. I do think that Vegas has a little bit more grit and talent on their front end for sure. And you said Marchessault. I liked Marchessault in Florida. He was a Florida Panther, and he was a good Florida Panther, man. And I was surprised that the Florida Panthers let him go. I guess I must have been on a contract year, and that's why they had to let him go. Because I remember the Florida at one time, I think it was they had Riley Smith and Marchessault with Barkov and Huberdeau, and their team, like, that was their 4 guys. So you got the ex-captain of Montreal, Pacioretty, facing his former team. Suzuki was a Vegas Golden Knight. He got drafted there, right? And then I think Suzuki was the first pick too that they took. If I'm not mistaken, in 2017, Nick Suzuki was the first pick that Vegas took, or the highest pick at that. And then boom, Montreal took him for Pacioretty, and Vegas moves on. And look at them now. It's going to be a clash of a storied franchise, been around a long time, over 100 years, and a clash of the newest franchise in the NHL, the expansion team, the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know, my verdict. You know what? Me and Archie had this talk before, guys. As you can see on my forehead, I have a Toronto Maple Leaf on, and I will always bleed blue. And I know that we're going through a couple things in Toronto right now. CN Tower lit up in Montreal colors. Our mayor raising the Montreal flag because he lost a bet. Niagara Falls putting out a Twitter thing saying that they lit up Niagara Falls and Montreal colors, saying Canada's team and everything. So there's a lot of stuff happening right now with Toronto and Montreal, and it's all this support for Montreal. But really, you know what? As much as I wanted to see a Canadian team bring the cup home, it just, for me, guys, sorry, it can't be Montreal, because the fans of Montreal would never get behind the Leafs if the Leafs were going to go on and win a cup. They just would not. That is just, it's too much of a rivalry. There's too much. It's a storied history. And trust me, the rivalry is still there. When you get a Hab and a Leaf fan together, it is like nose up, chest puffed out, like we are the better team. It's our city's better. And I'll always represent Toronto, right? Like, no matter what, I am born and raised in Toronto. I'm a Torontonian. I bleed blue. And that is just my thing. So sorry for the Habs fans. If you wanted me to jump on the, I'll give you guys my blessing for you guys to do well in the playoffs just for this time around. Sorry, you don't have it. I kind of hope Vegas destroys Montreal. And I know that Habs fans won't like that. But hey, man, I know what the after effect is of what happens when Montreal, if they were to win a cup, and Toronto fans would not hear the end of it, and you guys would rub it in our faces over and over again. You guys would like curb stomp us. That's what I feel like. So go Vegas or go Tampa Bay or the Islanders. Montreal, I know you're a Canadian team, and according to Niagara Falls, you're Canada's team. But yeah, I hope it's a good series, though. I really hope it's fun hockey to watch. But I don't know. I could be a bitter Leaf fan talking, and this could be more of a grieving kind of rant here about the Canadians. But yeah, I don't know if I could handle you guys winning a cup over us. So I'm going to go with Vegas on this one. They got a good team. Like you said, Mark Stone, unbelievable player, unbelievable captain. Pacioretty, Marchessault, Carlson. They got a lot of good guys there, and Pietrangelo. I think the Leafs had 4 captains on their team if they were previous captains. I think Vegas has like 4 captains on their team too. So that being said, it's going to be a hell of a series. I can't wait to watch it.
Okay, so from the sounds of it, you've got Tampa Bay, Vegas finals. Who wins the Stanley Cup?
You know what? I'm going to stick with my guns here, Archie. And I'm going to say Tampa Bay fucking wins it back-to-back, man. I think they have a team that could really win it back-to-back. Unfortunately, for people that, like the cap and everything, it is kind of fishy and kind of shitty that they are $18 million over the cap just because of long-term IRs, ILs, and all that kind of stuff that happened throughout the season. People are a little bit bitter about Kucherov and Kucherov missing all year and then coming back being healthy for playoffs, and same with Stamkos missing all that time that he did, and then all of a sudden he's ready to go. So I get it. They're over cap, and they're playing. Their superstars are playing well, and they have a well-rounded team right now. So we'll see what happens. But I can see them running it back to back, man. So that's just my opinion. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens. What about you, Archie? Who do you got?
I want it to be Tampa Bay, but I feel like something tells me Vegas is finally going to do this. I mean, they've come close a couple years now, and it's two hot goalies. Like right now, you could almost argue that there's the hottest four goalies in the league right now are going head to head. It's a matter of which goalie is going to stand on his head longer. And Marc-Andre Fleury looks like he is zoned in. And I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to not only have to deal with Vegas's strong offense, but to also try to solve Fleury and put some pucks past him. But the same could be said about Vasilevsky, and the same could even be said about Carey Price. The thing is that Carey Price has suspect defense. They're not exactly the best, and Carey Price is going to have to bail them out a lot to get past Vegas somehow, and then on top of that, to face the winner between the Islanders and the Lightning, both teams of which are high power offense, right? So I'd like to see Tampa repeat. It may be Vegas. I definitely agree with you. I cannot fall on that Canada's team thing. I can't. And it's not just Montreal. I wouldn't do it if it was Ottawa either. I hate both teams equally. If it was Calgary, Edmonton, even Vancouver, sure, why not? But I just can't. The East Coast belongs to the Leafs, and I refuse to share it. I can't be happy to see any of those teams win a cup before the Leafs. And not to mention, this is one of those weird seasons where whoever wins it is going to win it, and they're deserving of it, of course. But I would hope that the Leafs can put together a stronger run next season so that we don't have to hear all this bullshit about how they had an easy North Division. They only played Canadian teams. They didn't play as tough opponents, which we broke down earlier on in the year. There was other divisions that were worse than the North Division when it comes to the standings and the differential between the points. So people who say that are just pretty stupid and ignorant, because they're just looking at it as it's Canada. Canada invented the game, and they are the strongest teams. And it's not about Canada. There's American teams or American players, European players, or all kinds. The point is that division was not as easy as everybody seems to be rambling on about. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I, of course, would have wanted the Leafs to win, but them not winning it this year doesn't hurt as much. I don't want to hear the excuses. If I get to see the Leafs win one cup in my lifetime, I want it to be under normal circumstances, with all the odds fair to everybody. No excuses. So hopefully Dubas puts together a better team. There's been rumors and ramblings all week about, I think it was Chris Johnston on I think it was Steve Dangle's podcast, who said the Leafs are going to be making a big splash. It'll be a trade, and it's going to be a player that nobody expected to ever see in a Leafs jersey. Now, that is to be taken with a grain of salt, because, people are already thinking, oh my God, McDavid. No, not happening. So the name that I heard was Evander Kane as one possibility. And I'm going to ask you what you think about that one. And the other one was a player from Philly, and I can't remember who it was. But again, not by any means a Connor McDavid type deal. But they're talking about Evander Kane, or I forget who it was, from Philadelphia, and basically coming to Toronto as an unexpected move to better this team. I don't know that one player is going to make that big of a difference for this team. I mean, remember, we still got to figure out our goaltending situation. Campbell's the only one we've got locked in right now. But real quick, what do you think the Leafs should do, can do, might do? What do you think?
Man, just you saying Evander Kane, I mean, he's a hell of a player. I'm not sure what kind of teammate he is, like in the dressing room or whatever. But I know that he wears his heart on his sleeve on the ice. He'll fight if he has to. He makes hits. He scores goals. He's a point getter, and he's probably like 31 years old. So, I mean, he's kind of exactly what the Leafs do need. I mean, we're missing a little bit of that grittiness. I guess he's maybe kind of like a Nazem Kadri in a sense, but won't get kicked out of the playoffs or whatever. I'm not too sure. Honestly, Archie, it's so hard the thought process to think about what we're going to do with the Maple Leafs in this offseason, what trades, what acquisitions, who to pick up off of free agency. I don't know, man. I really don't, because I'm still trying to get over what happened to the Leafs this year, because we really believe that it was the year that we changed all those old ghosts, like all those old skeletons in the closet of, you know what I mean? This team that's not strong enough and tough enough. And we went out and we got it. I mean, Bogosian, and like in the last few years, like Muzzin, Bogosian, Brody, Wayne Simmons, Joe Thornton, like we brought in guys that were supposed to kind of change the leadership and a couple of different roles on this team to help these young kids out and pave the way to success. And for it to get ripped out of the fans and the team's hands this year the way it did, like it's almost like stabbing us in the heart and giving it a couple twists and pulling it out. It was an eye-opener. And that being said, I really don't care what the Leafs do, because I'm not really going to be satisfied until they just get out of the first round. So let me just say this. I do have faith in Dubas still. I really do. Shanahan, Dubas. Shanahan's been around for a very long time. He knows hockey. Our coach, Sheldon Keefe, he's played professional hockey. I think he played a few NHL games here and there, but he was an AHL guy, if I'm not mistaken. He's been around the game. Our staff and management, and they've been around for a long time in the game, and I think they know what they're doing. I really love the Maple Leafs roster still right now. I don't know who else you can pick up, what trades need to be made. I have said that maybe Mitch Marner could be the odd guy out just because he's an $11 million player, and the last few playoff performances he's had has been kind of, I mean, let's get real here, it stinks. And to get $11 million off of the cap and be able to maybe sign another goalie or sign a Zach Hyman or along the lines of that, you know what I mean? There's a lot of questions to be answered still. I don't, like you just said, Archie, I don't know if one player impacts the change that we need to move forward past the first round this year or next year, I guess. But God, I'll put my faith in the management right now and hope that they make the right moves at the best possible time of that you can make these moves, man. Take the right player when they're available, and whoever wants to come here, or if someone can be traded, is willing to come be a Toronto Maple Leaf and play his heart out, then so be it. But like you said, it's just after this year, for me, it's definitely really tough to understand. Even if we did go get a few, like let's say we got a Seth Jones or Vander Kane, it's not going to mean anything to me. We could win the President's Trophy, guys, next year. The Leafs could win the President's Trophy, and I would still be like, I haven't seen anything yet. I don't care, because we haven't got through the first round of the playoffs. I need to see the first round of the playoffs, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of Leaf fans after what we witnessed this year and went through, that the regular season, we can put up goals and outscore opponents all we want and have a good power play and a good penalty kill. But if we don't make noise next playoffs, like, I don't know, man. That's bad. We got to win a fucking playoff series. At least when Ovechkin won his cup when he was 32 years old and Washington was rebuilding everything, at least they made it to second rounds here and there and third rounds throughout that process. We're going to be on our 6th year with that rebuild. And if we do not make the first round, let's just make playoffs first. But if we don't make it past the first round, I think something more significant than one trade or something this year has to happen. And it's either going to be in management or it's going to be one of our big guys, big stars for sure. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Archie? What do you think the Leafs should do? What is your thought process on anything about the Leafs and the situation that we're in with goaltending and Thornton and Simmons on 1-year contracts? They're probably maybe coming back, maybe not. I don't know. But what are your thoughts, dude? Hit me.
Yeah. I mean, so the other name that was mentioned, and it's not a small name, but again, it's no high caliber McDavid name, but it's London, Ontario born Travis Konechny from Philly. So it was him and Evander Kane were the two names that were alluded to as the potential targets for the Leafs to look into bringing into Toronto in the offseason. But I think you're right. It doesn't come down to one player. One player is not going to make or break this team. We can make the playoffs. We know we can. That's not the question here. And I think you're right. I agree with you 100%. Making the playoffs is just not enough anymore. Now it's like, you guys got to win the fucking round. It's not about making the playoffs. There's no point in making it if you're going to flake out again. So, and I think you're right. If it happens again, something big is going to need to happen. And we're talking, just
like Dubas or Shanahan or something, like a huge shakeup in upper management or one of our big stars up front, like a Johnny T getting traded, or you know what, I would never, I pray, because I love Austin Matthews, but Austin Matthews will never get traded. He shouldn't. I don't think the Leafs would ever trade him until maybe he's like 36 and maybe he wants to go home or some shit. But you hold on to Austin Matthews, for God's sake. Don't let that fucking kid go, because he's a superstar and he's the best thing that's happened to the Leafs in a long time. But yeah, man, keep her going, Archie. I interrupted you there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I'm a huge Marner fan, as you can tell. But if it came down to it, I mean, man, I'll trade that whole team before moving Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews has proven he is a high caliber NHL player, still far from his prime. And one of those guys that he can make anybody around him better. And if you pair him off with the right winger, the right players with him, you know what I mean? Like he's lethal. He's dangerous. So yeah, hold on to that guy as long as you can. That is not one of the players you move. As much as it hurts me to say this, I would absolutely not hesitate to move Mitch Marner if it means helping this team out financially, so that they can bring in the right players and without touching, obviously, Austin Matthews. Now, will that ruin the dynamic between Matthews and Marner without Marner? Does that give Nylander a chance to step up and be that guy? Because I do think Nylander's got that potential. It's just, can he be consistent enough to be that guy for him? Or do they go out and grab somebody else? Expiring contracts, it hurts. It breaks my heart to see Joe Thornton came here. He tried, and we saw him, like we said last time, he was catching up to the game, couldn't keep up. Wayne Simmons didn't work out, unfortunately, the way we were hoping. His early injury didn't help either, because he started off great. Yeah. Jason Spezza, he's the one guy I really hope to see back. And I mentioned last time as well, Galchenyuk, wouldn't mind seeing him back in Toronto as well. I feel like both those players can make impact and come back on a lower salary. And then it comes down to, they got to fill some holes on defense and hopefully find a solution as a backup goalie or a tandem goalie. I don't like calling it a backup goalie anymore, because some of the most successful teams do have two pretty decent goalies. So we'll see what happens. But I guess enough for the Leafs right now. Probably, I don't think I want to talk about the Leafs until something big happens that's worth talking about. Probably not until July 1st, until that market becomes open and things start to happen. So we'll save it for then. So the next big thing in the league, outside of obviously the Final Four, is the NHL awards. So we knew some awards were given, Matthews winning the Rocket Richard for the goals. There's a couple other ones that were already determined, but we have here now all the nominees for the upcoming awards. So I'll go through them, give a quick bit as to what award is for. You guys will get to see who the candidates are, and Wade and I will give you who we think is going to win the hardware. So moving along, we'll start off with the Calder. So this is the award that Austin Matthews won last year for Rookie of the Year. Or not?
Not last year, 2016.
Right. So he was the Rookie of the Year. This trophy is awarded to the Rookie of the Year and voted on by the Professional Hockey Writers Association. Up for nominations this year are Kirill Kaprizov from the Wild, Carolina goalie Alex Nedeljkovic, and Jason Robertson of Dallas Stars. I like all three of these guys, but the name that just sticks out most all around is Kaprizov. So that's who I'm going with on winning this one. Yourself?
I totally agree. Jason Robertson made a name for himself kind of halfway through this year. People really started to notice, holy shit, this kid's just scoring goals like every game. But Kaprizov has kind of been there since the beginning of the year, like consistent. One of the best players on Minnesota. One of the reasons Minnesota made it to the playoffs and did well for the team did well this year for themselves, when I don't think anyone really counted them in to be a relevant team, a good team in the league, because the last few years they've kind of been falling apart. But it's like this Kaprizov kid came in and kind of woke up the older guys, and they kind of got a new identity this year in Minnesota. So hats off to Kaprizov. I think that he wins the Calder.
Yeah, and not to take anything away from Nedeljkovic. I mean, the guy went 15-5-3 for the Hurricanes, but
yeah,
it's unfortunate. I feel like goalie should be in a different class outside of just the Vezina. I feel like goalie should have a different type of structure for some of their awards, because he's definitely a worthy mention here. I mean, 15-5-3, led the NHL rookies in goalies in shutouts with 3 of them. Had a 1.9 goals against average and a 932 save percentage. So I mean, he played in at least 20 games, allowing 2 or less goals in 16 of those 23 games. So
yeah,
it's a tough one. But yeah, like you said, Kaprizov's kind of been there from the start. Hasn't really let off, and big part of that Minnesota team. So that's who we're going with. Looks like we're both in agreement there. Next up, the Hart. Now, this one's interesting because I was not expecting to see Austin Matthews in this, to be honest. So this one's awarded to the MVP throughout the season. Again, voted on by the Professional Hockey Writers Association. This one's kind of been hands down. Everybody's kind of said, hey, this is going to Connor McDavid. These are 3 absolute dynamite studs that are nominated this year. And although, I mean, obviously the 3, you could call them very well the top 3 players in the league at the moment. And as much as I love Austin Matthews, Nathan McKinnon, great player as well, I feel it is a no-doubter here that Connor McDavid does in fact win this one. Led the league in scoring for the 3rd time now with over 100 points. And I believe, I don't know if did he win it last year?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like it's a given. He's definitely going to win this, but it was awesome to see Austin Matthews in the running as a nominee as well. I'm assuming you're agreeing with that too?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what Connor McDavid did this year is just incredible. What did he have, like 106 points or something in 105 points in 56 games played. Did he play 56, all 56?
Not sure.
Even if he didn't, he missed maybe a game or 2, but I mean, that's incredible. That is incredible. Like, come on. This guy is Wayne Gretzky-esque, Lemieux-esque. There's not many players in the league that can do that. Like you said, not to take anything away from McKinnon or Austin Matthews. I mean, Austin Matthews, crazy what he did this year too. I think he had like 41 goals in 54 games or whatever it was, right? 53 games. But Connor McDavid all the way for me. I agree with you, Archie. He's just incredible. He's unstoppable, man, unless you get him to the first round of the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Next up, the King Clancy. So this one goes to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution to his community. And this one's voted on by the NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, what's his name, Bill Daly, and the executives around the league. So up for this one, there's Curtis Gabriel of the San Jose Sharks, Pekka Rinne from Nashville, and PK Subban out of Jersey. So with these ones here, I'll give you a little bit of background, so I'm not sure what you know about their involvement outside of the NHL, and then we can kind of go from there. So Curtis Gabriel has been a big promoter of the LGBTQ and community, and by raising awareness through social media. He's amplified a lot when it comes to educating fans and players on the community and through causes such as events, conversations he's had. He also had the rainbow colored pride tape on his hockey sticks. And he's also been a strong advocate for mental health after losing his father to suicide when he was only 10 years old. So he's been really big outside of the hockey world and very involved in the community and issues that are arising in today's world. Pekka Rinne supports the NHL's Hockey Fights Cancer Initiative. He was a big part of the 365 Pediatric Cancer Fund with his old teammate Shea Weber. They raise money and awareness for cancer research, and they've donated more than $3 million since 2012-13. And PK Subban, as you might remember, back in 2014, while he was playing for the Canadiens, he pledged $10 million over 7 years to Montreal's Children's Hospital. All three of these guys, big outside of hockey, definite role models to anybody growing up as an athlete and looking at, how you can make a difference both on and off the ice. So with this one here, I feel this is a tough one. I can't pick a clear winner because all three of them are all in three completely different aspects. So all three are very deserving. The person who wins the award also gets $25,000 donation from the NHL Foundation, which can go towards a charity or charities of their choice. And both runners up will receive $5,000 donation. So there's money going towards all three, obviously with the biggest one going to whoever wins this. So you've got Curtis Gabriel representing the LGBTQ community and mental health. You got Pekka Rinne for cancer research and PK Subban for children. So what do you think on this one?
Hats off to the three candidates. All of them are extremely important. There's not one that is a better charity or anything than the other, but I'm just going with what I would do in this situation. And I've always said if I won like $50 million or something, like a lot of it would go to Sick Kids Hospital. It's sick kids, man. What they do for the kids is unbelievable, and kids are kids, man. There's not much more to say. Like, children are, man, they're precious, and you gotta love kids. And PK's been doing this for a while. I love watching the videos of him going into Montreal Sick Kids Hospital and hanging out with the kids and donating millions of dollars. To me, that's really cool. Not taking away anything from Gabriel or Pekka Rinne, but I'll go with PK Subban on this one because it's just something that I'm passionate about, would be helping Sick Kids Hospital Toronto if I ever could. So.
Absolutely. And it's pretty awesome that he's still supporting the hospital in Montreal. It's like he committed to them when he was there, and having been traded a couple times since, and he still strongly supports and is definitely a big part of that. So yeah, I agree. I mean, it's three very big causes, and I think you're right. I mean, when it comes down to kids in the future and what these hospitals do for the kids, it's incredible. So yeah, hats off to either three. Whoever wins this is a big, very well deserving of it.
Of course.
Moving on to the Lady Bing. So this one is the one that goes to the player who best combines sportsmanship, gentlemanly conduct, and the ability in the game, and is voted on the Professional Hockey Writers Association as well. So in this one, we've got our boy Austin Matthews, another awesome surprise nomination. Jacob Slavin, and from Carolina, and Jared Spurgeon from the Minnesota Wild. So again, goes to the player who best combines sportsmanship, gentlemanly conduct, and the ability voted on. This was one of Gretzky's highlight awards when he was in the NHL. Typically goes for the player who's most well-rounded. So just give you another quick brief here. Austin Matthews led the league, of course, we know, with 41 goals, 12 game winners over 52 games. He was a plus 21 and was only assessed 5 minor penalties, never having more than 14 penalty minutes in a season since he's been in the NHL. Pretty impressive. And I'm going to explain why I'm backing that. Jacob Slavin led the Hurricanes in ice time with almost about 23 minutes. He was assessed only 1 minor penalty in 52 games, while often shutting down opponents' top lines. He had 15 points and was a plus 22. And Jared Spurgeon led the Minnesota Wild defenseman with 25 points, 4th in the team in ice time, and was assessed 3 minor penalties over 54 games. Awesome for all three. I'm going to go with Austin Matthews on this one, not just because I'm a Leafs fan, but also because the fact that you saw it in the playoffs. For him to be as disciplined as he was, and he had players hounding, clutching, and grabbing, and trying to, get him to react after the whistle to be the, get the instigator out of him, and he just took it. He took it all season. I mean, the playoffs obviously don't count for these awards, but we saw a big example in that series against Montreal. He took it with a smile and just never let it get under his skin. So I think he's very well deserving of this award, especially considering the amount of ice time the guy plays. 52 games, only 5 minor penalties, never having more than 14 since he's come into the NHL. I mean, to me, this is a definite Austin Matthews. What do you think here?
Yeah, I agree, man. Austin Matthews, the guy's been disciplined since he's come to the NHL, right? He's a guy that never lets he never lets his opponent get under his skin, right? And he never has to, he's just a disciplined kid, man. Like, what are you going to do? He's been like that ever since he's come in. And even like you said, in the playoffs, he's smiling when guys are giving him cross checks or anything, or hitting him in front of the net. I mean, we're Leaf fans, Archie, so we see it all the time. But Austin Matthews, you're talking about the number one center going against the number one defenses that are just hacking, slashing, whacking him in front of the net, behind the net, doing anything to get him off his game, slashing. And Austin Matthews just takes it. He gives it a little bit, but it's never chirpy. It's never in your face, or he never retaliates or anything. He's just like simple. I don't know. That's it. He's disciplined. That's the best word to describe Austin Matthews. And I do kind of like what you said about Slavin there. I mean, he's playing against the best guys. He's a defenseman. He only had like 1 penalty or something this year. That's pretty impressive because he's a top-end defenseman for Carolina. And yeah, I mean, to deal with top-end guys coming down on you and you having to, get them off their game and keep them wide and hit them in the corners and whatever, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that about him. That's 1 penalty is pretty good for a defenseman too. I mean, we're talking about a defenseman. Your defenseman should at least have fucking 20 penalties each year. So that's impressive. Jared Spurgeon, I know that I think that he got the captaincy. Did he not? Like, this guy's like a leader now. I didn't know too much about him, but Jared Spurgeon is this young guy that I didn't know too much about, but apparently he's got really good leadership qualities. He's loud in the dressing room. He's a good guy on the ice. So that being said, I mean, just for being a superstar and taking it from Weber and Sherratt and Tyler Myers, the way that Austin Matthews has been over this last year, I got to give it to Austin Matthews, man. The guy doesn't retaliate. He's disciplined, and he shows like why he's a gentleman on and off the ice. He's a really nice guy, talks well to the media. He's always respectful. And yeah, I got to go with Austin Matthews.
All right. And yeah, you're right. Jared Spurgeon did, in fact, get the captaincy over in Minnesota. One of our viewers here, John Sarsfield, says Matthews takes this one. He has a calming presence, disciplined, exactly like what you said. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. His discipline, that's what it comes down to. So hopefully Austin Matthews can add to his hardware along with the Rocket Richard, and he takes home the Lady Bing as well.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the Bill Masterton. So this one is awarded to the player that best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to the game. Once again, voted on by the Professional Hockey Writers Association. The three guys we've got nominated for this one are Matt Dumba of the Minnesota Wild, Oscar Lindblom of the Philadelphia Flyers, and Patty Marleau in San Jose. So again, real quick, all three of these guys I feel are deserving of being finalists. I think Matt Dumba probably has the upper hand given what's been happening in the world over the last year. He co-founded the Hockey Diversity Alliance and was also one of the first to speak out against racism and intolerance to hockey, also while promoting inclusion and diversity at the grassroots level of the game to educate kids early on as they grow into the system. So we know Oscar Lindblom had a huge bout with cancer and came back, and that in itself is a story among others, and it's a story on its own. Patrick Marleau is just Patrick Marleau. I mean, I feel like he's the NHL father. He's just that guy for everyone, and I just feel like there isn't a bad bone in that guy's body. But given what this award represents and what it does, and the person who I think out of these three would best be deserving for it, I definitely have to go with Matt Dumba. Your thoughts here?
Like you said, these everyone that you're bringing up here, everyone, guys, that's nominated, there's usually three of them up for the award. Whenever you're making predictions, they're looking at these guys, you're never taken away from the two that you don't choose or whatever. I mean, all these guys represent something truly amazing. Oscar Lindblom, I mean, crazy, man. Crazy to go through a sequence, go through something like that, and to come back and kind of just think, okay, I'm sick, but like I got to get back to hockey. Like I just want to play hockey. And then Matt Dumba, with everything that happened, and in the States especially, coming from, I think it was Minnesota where George Floyd did pass away. I think that was the state or whatever. But yeah, I do like that decision, Archie, but I got to go with Patrick Marleau, man. You know why? Just because he surpassed Gordie Howe this year for playing the most games in the NHL. And it's just what a huge feat, what a huge accomplishment for him. He's a storied guy. I wish that he could get a Stanley Cup. But he's just one of those dudes, man, that you can tell he lives and dies and breathes hockey, and he has for his whole career. And even when they asked him there, what's it feel like? Why do you keep playing the game? After he won the award, after he beat Gordie Howe's record, he was asked, why do you still play? What gets you up in the morning and gets you at the rink? And he only had, I think it was 3 words. And he said, I just love it. That was it. And he was, basically crying. This guy loves hockey. And, any player, we brought him to the Toronto Maple Leafs recently just because we knew of his leadership abilities and know that he does live and die hockey. So he's a classy gentleman kind of guy, family kind of guy, and he's been around for a long time demonstrating what it takes to be a professional in the NHL, and he's still doing it to this day, and he's still a good player. So I got to give it to Patty Marleau, with Matt not taking away anything from Oscar or Matt. I think that what they did this year was a huge accomplishment from both of them, and they got to keep. Everyone just has to keep on going, keep striving for better and better and better. And these 3 candidates are guys that do that every single day. So, but I got to go with Patty Marleau on this, man, just because of the Gordie Howe record and being in the NHL for like 22, 23 years and trying to be ready, be set for every single game in an 82 game season. I mean, he was also an Ironman streak guy too. So he's been there, he's done it, and he's still going. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and he's also probably one of the most humble guys I've ever seen in interviews too. His always talking about his family, his wife, his kids, so involved in his life, and it's just great to see the guy. And John Field again commenting here, Marleau, not to sound biased, his longevity, he's a quality guy. All three definitely deserve it, though. Again, couldn't agree more. Taking politics out of the equation, I have to agree. Patrick Marleau definitely does exemplify the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to the game. So, yeah, you know what? Patty Marleau definitely deserving of it as well. But again, all three. We're not taking away from any of them. So that's our predictions there. And moving on to the next one, the Norris. So this one is for the awarded to the best defenseman throughout the season, voted on again by the Professional Hockey Writers Association. And up for nomination this year, we've got Adam Fox of the New York Rangers, Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and good old Cale Makar from the Colorado Avalanche. And just to give, again, three awesome studs on defense. Little statistics for you here. Again, for me, this is a tough one, but Adam Fox, he is a first-time finalist in this one. Finished the season with 47 points, 5 goals, and 42 assists, only 1 point behind a surprising Tyson Barrie, who led the league in that department. Fox also had 23 power play points, second to Victor Hedman, who's also nominated, and 102 blocked shots, as well as 38 takeaways. So, I mean, he's a very well-rounded individual. Again, not to take away from the other two, Victor Hedman is an absolute stud. Cale Makar has proven that he is an unbelievable player. But I'm going to look at this as, look at the team they're also playing on, and Adam Fox is part of a really up and down, not so great New York Rangers team right now. So this is why I'm going to go with Adam Fox, only because he faced a lot more adversity when it comes to this versus Victor Hedman on a stacked Tampa Bay Lightning and Cale Makar on a stacked Colorado Avalanche. So my go for this one is definitely Adam Fox.
I'm not going to say anything else. I totally agree with you. I like Adam Fox. They were talking about this guy friggin' 2-3 months ago, like at the, you know what I mean? Maybe 2 months, 3 months into the season. I think it was like game 35, and they were asking people about this Adam Fox guy. I did have him on my fantasy team too, so I'm a little biased that way too. But he definitely lit it up. And just like you said, the statistics that you just read out, his numbers are great. And buddy, you couldn't have said it better, man. Hedman and Cale Makar play on some of the top, heavier offensive teams in the league. Like, you know what I mean? Colorado and Tampa Bay are just, how many points can you get from giving Braden Point, Stamkos, or Kucherov, or McKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen pucks? Where, I mean, Adam Fox kind of, like you said, there was adversity this year with New York Rangers. Panarin had to leave. Buchnevich had himself a season. The rookie Lafreniere didn't have a blowout season for a rookie campaign. And I gotta give it to Mr. Fox too. What the hell? Came out of nowhere and did his job and fucking played well for the New York Rangers, man. I think he deserves it.
Absolutely. And again, John Sarsfield here says toss up between Makar or Hedman, but then also mentions good point on Fox. Because I mean, a lot of times you don't realize that the team you play for makes a big deal in being nominated for one of these awards. And again, Fox was on a team that didn't make the playoffs, struggled, very inconsistent all year round. That's like, if a Buffalo Sabres player happened to be nominated for any award, they'd be deserving because of the absolute chaos and disaster that happened in Buffalo. So if you're nominated for something, hey man, you deserve it. So in this case, definitely Adam Fox for this one. Yeah.
And you got to think too, Archie, you have Grubauer in the back of the net for Colorado, and you have Vasilevsky in the back of the net for Tampa Bay. Who do you have in net for New York Rangers right now? It's it was a toss up, right? It was like
Lundqvist. Oh no, sorry, not Lundqvist.
forget his name. But anyways, they had a little bit of a goalie toss-up this year themselves. So, I mean, Georgiev and someone else, right?
Shesterkin, and then they had Kincaid for a bit too.
Yeah, so very deserving of Adam Fox. I hope that he gets it, man. It'll be a little bit of a shocker, but a well-deserved one.
All right, and then moving along to the Selke. So this one's awarded to the player who excelled in the defensive aspects of the game, and again, voted on by the Professional Hockey Writers Association. So over here, we've got Alexander Barkov from Florida, Patrice Bergeron in Boston, and Mark Stone from Vegas. So again, for this one here, I'll just give you a little quick synopsis here. Barkov ranked first among Panthers forwards in takeaways with 39, while averaging an ice time of about 21 minutes. He was second in block shots with 37 and a face-off percentage of 54.9%. Patrice Bergeron, no stranger to this award. He's won it already 4 times. Ranked first in face-off percentage with a 62.5% from the face-off dot. Unreal. And ranked first with face-off wins with 714. He also led the Bruins with 36 block shots and had almost 100 minutes in shorthanded ice time with 35 takeaways. And then we got Mark Stone in Vegas. He was the runner-up in 2018-2019. He led the NHL with 58 takeaways for the 5th time in his 7th NHL season. That's a huge stat there. Also led the Knights forwards in ice time with averaging about 19 minutes and was 3rd in shorthanded ice time with a total of 74 minutes. Another tough one here, but just because of the consistency, I'm going to have to go with Bergeron on this one. I mean, man, that's a lot of face-off wins. He's won it 4 times. It's unreal. And if he wins it for the 5th, it'll be a record 5th. So I think he's deserving of it. I mean, he's a hell of a player. As much as I hate the Bruins, Patrice Bergeron is one guy I would love to have on my team. What are your thoughts there?
Man. You know what, Archie? Oh, man, I don't even know. You know what? All I'm thinking is, man, Mark Stone has always just been, like, even in Ottawa, just that all-around 200-foot guy that plays defense well and offense and just does everything right. But then you have this underrated player, and it's funny that he's still underrated. Like, he's not talked about a lot, in Alexander Barkov. He's one of the better centermen in the league. I don't know where you would rank him out from 1 to 10, but he's definitely in there. And for him to have that many block shots and takeaways and minutes played and whatever, man, what a toss-up. Patrice Bergeron is just Patrice Bergeron. He's been the fucking best 200-foot kind of defensive center in the league for a long time. Like, I don't even remember who else. Like, him and Jonathan Toews went at it for so long. And I do like the consistency that he has, but I also like that you put up Mark Stone, that he's been the runner-up for the last few years too. Like, he's trying to get there. Does he edge out Bergeron this year? I think you see Barkov there next year for this award. Maybe it's a little bit different, but I'm going to go with Mark Stone. I like Bergeron. I always have. He's one of the captains of Canada. Whenever the Olympics or World Cup comes on, I always like seeing him on the first or second line there and taking faceoffs and big point times in the game. But I don't know, man. I kind of just like the attitude and the leadership that Mark Stone has with the way he plays the game, man. The guy's just he's a straight shooter, and he plays with all his heart on his sleeve every game, every shift. So Mark Stone is hit for me.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, it's a toss-up too. And again, the big stat that sticks out for me for Mark Stone is, I didn't know this, man, leading the league in takeaways for 5 out of 7 seasons in the NHL with 58. Yeah. He pretty much had almost 20 more than Barkov, yeah, and 25 more than Bergeron in this one. So Mark Stone, and we've seen it, we continue to see it in the playoffs. He's one of those guys that just is a workhorse. He's an absolute animal and a beast. And again, another guy I would love to have on my team. I couldn't agree with you more about Barkov. If he's in this next year, very much so deserving of it. But yeah, I'd say between Bergeron and Stone, this is it's no easy win here for any of them.
No, and you know what? I think just because Mark Stone, I mean, I know it's a regular season award ceremony, but I mean, Mark Stone's still in the playoffs and still doing good things. Both Alexander Barkov and Bergeron are out at this point, so just a little bit more to think about when you're kind of doing your predictions and voting. But at the same time, like you said, it's kind of thrown out the window in the playoffs. But regular season, I mean, Bergeron or Mark Stone for sure, man.
Yep. And John Sarsfield again says probably Bergeron, but he'd like to see Mark Stone win it. And agreed. I mean, Mark Stone's been there. That stat is just really stands out for me. But the fact that Bergeron's won it 4 times says a lot of his consistency in his play. Next up, this is one of my favorites because I was not expecting these 3 nominees. So next up, we're into the Ted Lindsay Award. So the Ted Lindsay Award goes to the most outstanding player in the NHL and is voted on by members of the NHLPA. So this has nothing to do with the writers or the executives. This is pretty much your peers, your members of the union. So we've got Sidney Crosby. Listen to this class. Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. 3 absolute studs. Like, it doesn't get any better when it comes to the nominations here. And my goodness, all 3 players are deserving. And again, I'm going to give you my little bit here. We'll start off with Sidney. He's a love or hate kind of guy, but when you look at his game and what he's done for the NHL, you can't compare. I mean, Sidney Crosby reinvented the game. He was kind of like the guy who kind of opened the doors for so many of these other superstars coming through. So he's won this award 3 times already. If he were to win it again, he would then become the only other player outside of Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux to have won the award 4 or more times. That's big. And why I say that big is that he deserves a seat at that table. If there's anybody who deserves a seat with Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux in the NHL right now, I got to say it's Sidney Crosby, just looking at what he's done for the league, what he's done in his game, Stanley Cup victories, records, just an absolute workhorse. So he's got a chance here to sit at a very small table with some absolute superstars from the NHL's past. Austin Matthews, again, led the NHL in goals, also became the first ever Toronto Maple Leafs player to do that in 75 years, and was also the first US-born player to do it in 24 years, while also helping the Leafs finish first in the North Division. So those are 2 big numbers as well for Austin Matthews. Connor McDavid led the league with 105 points. He was 21 points ahead of second place Leon Draisaitl, who finished with 84 points. And McDavid's led the NHL in scoring 3 times so far. He has won the award twice and would be the second straight Oilers player to receive it if he wins, because last year Leon Draisaitl won it. I mean, the biased Leaf fan in me says Austin Matthews, but the hockey fan in me and the realistic person in me says hands down Sidney Crosby wins this award, as he is well deserving of sitting at that table as his career starts to kind of plateau. And he deserves that spot with Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux.
I don't know, man. You know what? I'll repeat what you just said, just because I'm a little biased. I would like to see Matthews win it, obviously. Crazy what he did this year. I know that all players are aware and cautious of him when he's on the ice, and he's just like, it's fun to watch it as entertainment whenever he steps onto the ice. But I just feel like, as much as I love Sidney Crosby, and people can hate him or love him, I'm one of the lovers of Crosby, man. I grew up with Crosby. He was one of the reasons why I love watching hockey, and still watching hockey. But I have a feeling I'm a little opposite. I think that Connor McDavid is going to get it. I think the players are going to vote him. The Players Association will vote him in, just because he has the ability to just take over a hockey game and get fans out of their seats and make people look stupid. He's an alien on the ice, man. He's just different. He's one of the best players we've ever seen. Could be the best player that we've ever seen play skill wise and speed wise, right? I think that McDavid takes it, but like I said, not taking away anything from these guys, Crosby and Matthews could deserve it too.
Yes, sir. And John Sarsfield says, what a trio. Would love to see Matthews, but McJesus, he's on a whole other level. And I mean, yeah, we know it. Imagine having a team with these three guys up front. Man, forget about lines 2, 3, and 4. I'd play my number one line all night long, and I bet you these guys could probably play a full game of hockey, no problem, at their own pace, and they would run it, and they'd run the pace of the game too. I mean, what a class of nominees for this award. Shocked, and it's amazing to see Austin Matthews to be a part of this conversation too. Like it's a great thing to see as a Leaf fan, and again, one of those awards where whoever gets it is well deserving of it.
Well, when you're scoring over 40 goals in 54 games, buddy, you should deserve it. Basically, a goal on almost a goal a game. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable what Matthews did this year too.
Absolutely, and we can't wait to see what he does in next season. Next one up here, the Vezina, as we all know, the prestigious goalie award that goes to the best goalie throughout the regular season again. This one voted on by the NHL general managers across the league. This one again, this is a tough one, man. Looking at regular season only, you've got Marc-Andre Fleury from Vegas, Philip Grubauer from Colorado, and Andrei Vasilevsky from Tampa Bay. So, stellar goalies here. Fleury went 26-10-0 this season, third in the NHL in wins, shutouts, goals against average, save percentage among goalies who played 20 or more games. Third, right across the board there. Philip Grubauer was just a stud. He went 39-1. Finished the season with second in wins, one behind Vasilevsky, as well as shutouts. He was tied for second. And then you got Vasilevsky, who went 31-10-1 for the defending Stanley Cup champions.
Sorry, what did Grubauer go?
Grubauer went 39-1. Yeah. And Vasilevsky led the league in wins for the fourth straight season. So it's a tough one. But the one that sticks out the most for me has got to be Grubauer, and also because he allowed 2 or less goals in 28 of his games that he's been in. And
need we say more, buddy? I think fucking Grubauer takes this one, bro. That's fucking insane. You made me laugh. You made me giggle because that's just out of this world. And I thought I heard you wrong. I was like, oh, maybe he skipped the number in between 30 and 1. Jesus. Okay, that's or 39. That's crazy, bro. Whatever. That's crazy. What the hell? Wow.
He also did not lose back-to-back games in regulation this season while leading Colorado to the President's Trophy. So a lot of love for the other two goalies here, and especially, I mean, they're both still in the playoffs, but again, this is a regular season award.
Yeah.
Philip Grubauer, in my opinion, going 30 wins, 9 losses, and 1 overtime loss. I mean, it's 9 losses is just unreal. I mean, considering
Grubauer had 9 losses.
Yeah, he didn't go 39-1. He went 39-1.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I was going to say, what the hell? I thought you said 39-1. I was like, this guy won 39 games and lost 1 game. Give him the trophy. Okay, never mind. But still, I do like the numbers still in statistics. 39-1, that's a great year. And then under 2 goals per game, save percentage, or goals against average. And then that being said, not losing back-to-back all year. That's pretty incredible for Philip Grubauer. Like, no one really knew who he was like 2 or 3 years ago. He only came on the map like a year ago. So I'll go with Grubauer still, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing to look at here is you can give Fleury credit here, but again, this is 26-10. He only played 36 games because he had that, fair share with Robin Leonard in Vegas. Grubauer played 40 games, and Vasilevsky played 42 games. So between the two of them, I feel like they should be the front runners, and Grubauer is just unreal. Like, those numbers are stupid.
Yeah.
30 wins, 9 losses, 1 overtime. Like, it's just unreal. And finished second in shutouts, as well as second in wins, 1 behind Vasilevsky, which you could argue would give Vasilevsky the award. But again, we look at who's he got playing in front of him. I think Tampa got pretty solid defense playing in front of Vasilevsky. So not to knock on Colorado's defense, but I think Grubauer definitely deserves this one.
Yes, sir.
And John Sarsfield says Fleury was outstanding, but he also agrees that Grubauer takes this one. So that wraps it up from the awards perspective, I believe. Yep. So that was the last one. So yeah, and then I think there was the one for which was a late one here, coaches, Jack Adams.
Archie, if I cut out on the rest of this podcast, it's because my phone died. Okay, so just to let you know and give everyone a heads up, if I just go blank.
All right, no problem. So real quick here, Jack Adams Award this year. Just trying to pull it up. 2020 went to Bruce Cassidy of the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I would say he should have won it. I'm not sure. But
I kind of like what Quenneville did with Florida this year, and I still think that Cooper on Tampa Bay, like just not having Stamkos for a bit, not having Kucherov all year, what they were able to do was still pretty cool. So I don't know. Yeah. It's still a hard one, but then, like, look at Ducharme for Montreal. Like, what the fuck? This guy is taking Montreal to semifinals now, just beat out. Basically, you could say they beat out Edmonton, Toronto, and Winnipeg by what they did to Winnipeg. So, yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough toss-up, too.
Now, the finalists in this award were Bruce Cassidy, John Tortorella, and Alain Vignon. So, I don't even know why Tortorella's in there. I don't think he should have been nominated for this one.
I think he's gone, right? They parted ways.
Yeah. So Bruce Cassidy, in this class of 3, I would say, I mean, Alain Vignon did his job, but Bruce Cassidy is definitely, I guess, deserving of this one.
Yeah.
All right. So try to wrap things up before you disappear on us here. That's pretty much it. The Vegas-Montreal game goes down at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is very shortly, in about 5 minutes.
7 minutes away.
Yep. So that'll be, I'll probably watch that one. I mean, it'll be some good hockey. It'll be fun to see what Montreal can do against a real hard competitor here. What they played so far doesn't appear to have been that. So
and they haven't seen these guys all season long, buddy. So that's what's kind of cool about it too. I like it.
Yeah. So it'll be a fun game to watch. So I'll probably watch a bit of that. So yeah, with that said, guys, thanks again for joining us on this Monday night. We will be back. We'll figure that out and scheduling it based on how the playoffs are going and based on our availability as times get a little bit more busy for us both here, but we will figure that out and look for that on the website. John, cheers to you as well. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Cheers, John. Thanks for piping in, buddy.
And unless, Wade, you got any closing words here?
No, not really, man. Just enjoy the hockey playoffs, guys. There's only 4 teams left. Anyone can win. And yeah, get to watching hockey if you can. Let's go. I hope that whatever team you're cheering for comes through so you can celebrate in some kind of way.
All right, guys. So as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you next time on Between the Pipes. Have a good one and enjoy the rest of the playoffs.